Could the recent announcements about this European Football League actually lead to reform and change in the UK and the football clubs having more control by the fans than these billionaire owners that live on the other side of the world? Could this terrible thing actually end up being a good thing? In the long run, okay? In the long run. The idea they put forward right now is absolute. Wait to the end of the video to make your judgment. This is a reflection of society. This is elite staying elite. This is more than just football. This is billionaires collecting more billions to put on top of their existing billions without any regard for anybody else. Football's the sport that I grew up playing. It's my first sport that I fell in love with. I play it every week still. I pay to play football. I'm sure the majority of you watching this video do the same. It was my dream to be a football player. I had trials at Fulham, did all right, played at a decent level, won a lot of trophies at Sunday League level, got scouted for a better semi-professional team. Football's in my blood. This ain't football. This is just corruption at the highest level. Now, we know that FIFA and all these organisations around football are corrupt. It's the only reason we're about to watch a Qatar 2024 World Cup. Sepp Blatter, the previous FIFA president, is currently serving, 20-year ban from football. The guy's going to be long gone before he can ever come near it. This is the worst of the worst because this is your football clubs, this is our football clubs turning their back on us, choosing greed, and it's something that we've allowed to happen. Unfortunately, it's been happening for a long time. I was watching Q Wizzy talk about this. The guy's so knowledgeable. The rug has been pulled out from under our feet, so to speak. I mean, it's been coming. These clubs have been moving towards more and more franchise-based disassociation from what made them great. I mean, the owners of these big clubs do not represent the people or the club on any level. The Glazers do not represent Manchester United. John Henry does not represent Liverpool. The reality is this is a terrifying time for football because it could literally kill the game that you and I grew up loving, wanting to be a part of, and actively paying to play to this day. It is that serious with football. The dream for these big clubs, as far as I see it, and as far as I'm sure the majority of you see it, is to be hosting games like Manchester United versus Liverpool in Beijing in front of 100,000 people in a stadium. Or to be in Australia, or to be in America, or to be in parts of it like all over the world. And I gotta ask the simple question, at what point does that stop being Manchester United? What does that have to do with Manchester? What does that have to do with the hard-working people of Manchester who helped to build that club, the foundations of the club, the history? I mean, you've seen people like Sir Alex Ferguson's opinions on this. This is something that we need to stop, but I don't really know how. I kind of wanted to look in my comment section and my community to ask you guys what you think we should do, because obviously group chats, Twitter, social media, everything, newspaper articles, we're talking about boycotts, not watching the games. They don't care. They want the games to go ahead in other parts of the world. They do not give a monkeys whether you and me go to Manchester United versus Chelsea. They don't care. They want tourists or they want new markets, bigger markets to exploit. You know, a really good point that I heard on the kickoff months and months ago is they don't want a Rory Jennings at Chelsea. Rory Jennings has a season ticket, but he turns up every single time. He watches the game, he goes home, he doesn't, buy all the merchandise. He's not going to buy magazines, he's not going to buy jerseys, which they've probably now rebranded them to. He's not going to buy scarves, not going to buy matchday programmes. He's going to call out the board for sacking Frank Lampard. He's going to have a go at people in and around the club for doing things that he doesn't like. Tammy Abraham doesn't get played as a youth player from Cobham. He's going to have his say about it. He's got a voice. They don't want the Rory Jenningses on the terraces. They want the fans who see Chelsea from the other side of the world as this glorious London-based club that they can support, that's, kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters. They're going to be flying about all around, not really as clued up as Rory on the history and what it is to be a Chelsea fan. They are trying to detach themselves from fans like Rory. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching this right now who are fans of these big six clubs, and you're feeling like you can't associate to those clubs whatsoever. I completely see your point. I've got Liverpool fans who go to games home and away messaging me who are now based in London saying, if this happens, I'm getting a season ticket at Fulham, or I'm going to come to Fulham games. Like, I'm just going to support a proper club, because that's that club, Liverpool, that he grew up watching. He watched, watching the Champions League final in Istanbul at the age of 7 years old. That's dead. They've killed that connection. That's gone. And the audacity of these big 6 clubs, and I'm going to focus on the Premier League because, do you know what? First, we'll talk about the other. Real Madrid, Barcelona, all these clubs. Real Madrid are reliant on the government, the Spanish government, to keep this club afloat. Perez is one of the most corrupt blokes to ever exist. Barca are probably, is it $1 billion in debt at this point? With an ageing Messi on £1 million a week contract. This is a club in turmoil. They need this. And I'm furious with the Premier League clubs, the big 6, as they call themselves. How Arsenal and Spurs can even put themselves in that bracket is ludicrous to me. These clubs have the dream. They have the Premier League. It's the most marketable, lucrative league in the world. That's why we have the best teams in the Champions League. Now, I'm not saying we have the best team, but we have the best teams. We have the best squads, the best league. Because the Premier League is the most marketable. We don't need this. Juventus need this. Real Madrid and Barcelona in their shit league need this. We don't need this. But the Premier League owners are selfish and dumb enough to just blindly walk into this deal seeing the £300 million a week and thinking that that's going to be better for them in the long run. Not understanding the fan connection or the historic cultural connection of football clubs to the people of this country. You already have all the brand deals. Fulham get 150 mil for getting into the Prem. Do you think Granada ever see that sort of money? Or Eibar in the league? They don't. It's not the same. So the Premier League clubs, how they can be so stupid is beyond me. And on top of that, like Gary Neville has said a lot better than me, they think they can just swan off these 6 and take 300 mil and bring it into our league for themselves to spend on players, transfers, wages, and then compete against clubs like Fulham, Villa, West Brom, Norwich coming up. You think that's fair? When that money doesn't touch anybody else in the league? This whole thing is the biggest mess going. I mean, Mourinho has just lost his job, and I'm recording this, disputing this. I want to know what Jurgen Klopp says, because that man has been outspoken about this since day one of the Super League talk, saying it isn't football. Jurgen Klopp is such a symbol of integrity, more than just Liverpool Football Club. When he's so relatable. As a Fulham fan, I look at Jurgen Klopp's interviews, and yes, they've been struggling this year and he's missed the mark with a few things. He's usually right about everything. He has the right take. I want to know what he says about this. I want to see managers take a stand. In a dream world, I'd like to see players take a stand, but they're under contract. What can they do? I don't think they can do much. What makes this interesting is there's so many moving parts. I haven't even spoke about the Premier League or FIFA and the sanctions that they have threatened these clubs with if a Super League goes ahead. Back yourselves. Do it. Do it. I mean, I think we all know, listening to me rant here, they are not going to kick Man United into the conference. They won't do it because it's bad for the Prem. And, you know, it's the Barclays Premier League. You think Barclays are going to allow Manchester United to be kicked out of their league, which they sponsor? And all these other sponsors, the hundreds of sponsors, I'm sure, that are around the clubs and the Premier League. This is why this has happened. The teams have got too much power. Until we get the German system, the 50+1 or whatever it is, we're not going to see a stop to these talks. Big up to Bayern and Dortmund for stepping away. PSG, the biggest shock out of everyone. I think we all thought these guys were the biggest money-injecting frauds, and I'm not saying they're perfect. They got some very, very dodgy links if you look into stuff with PSG, but at least they aren't going into business or into bed with the Super League, because this is just a joke. And I actually think that PSG, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, and some of the other clubs that are big and come out and speak out against this could be the shining light. I think if they were signed up as well, this is genuinely maybe the most interesting point in football history ever so far. This is the people against the billionaires who run their clubs. If this is, if you're sick of being a Newcastle fan with Mike Ashley, you're sick of being a Liverpool fan with John Henry not injecting any cash into the football club despite the success in recent times. You're a Manchester United fan who's sick of the Glazers, which I'm sure you are. Being angry is only going to get us so far, but actually what this could do, and I'm going to leave this on a positive because a lot of these videos have ended negatively. What this could do is lead to change and reform and more power to the people and the clubs having a shift of power back towards the fans who support them. That's the only positive. We can sit here on Monday the 19th of April and say, fingers crossed that this leads to a power shift. Because this has shown this has been something that's been dormant for so many years in football, and now it's reared its ugly head and we've seen it come to fruition. We've seen it come to the top. I mean, this is just the start. This is just the start. You might be seeing your precious football clubs play every single game outside of the area you're from. It doesn't. Why does Liverpool even need to play in Liverpool anymore? What's the point? They might as well just trot around the world. And then at what point is it Liverpool Football Club? It isn't. I am quietly optimistic that this will actually lead to reform. I can't say it any better than that. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. And I'll see you next time.